Welcome back to Williamsville South High School for day 2 of the New York State Public High School Athletic Association Far West Regionals Championships for football. We are getting ready for Game 3. It's the Class C battle between Section 5's LeRoy Knights and Salamanca Warriors out of Section 6. And guys, we're in for a matchup of two teams who aren't really used to this situation, although they've played each other actually 5 times in this game. Or this is their 5th all-time meeting. They've tied in the previous 4 meetings. Guys, let's start with this. I'm actually joined by Tim Chief of Paul Catrona today. And guys, what are your first thoughts on this one?
Well, I think, like yesterday, Francis, you really don't know, because on paper it looks like it's going to be a good game, right? And it didn't happen yesterday. It was 2 pretty lopsided games, and it's really a unique situation when you have these crossover games, Section 6 for Section 5, that sometimes the teams have already played, harder games the last couple of weeks. You don't know. But on paper, a lot like yesterday, it looks a pretty evenly matched teams. 2 teams that like ball control. There's no doubt about that. Little more balance, I would say Salamanca is, as far as passing and rushing, and it's very obvious on paper that LeRoy likes to rush the ball quite a bit.
Yeah, Tim, I was thinking big games. They seem simple. I've been thinking of Clarence last night, basically 4 miles down the road. This was a home game for them, but they came out and just didn't play their game. So now today we roll into today, and these 2 teams traveled. Both of them traveled a good distance. So they're going to get off that bus. They might have a lot of nervous energy. And for both teams, hopefully, as they're warming up, they get rid of that nervous energy and come do what they do. LeRoy, they can score. They've scored over 25 points 10 out of their 11 games. So they know how to put that ball into the end zone. In Salamanca, not a bad offense either, 27.6 points a game. So they're familiar with that. So what do we know? Well, it'll probably turn out to be a defensive game.
Yeah, I think, we talked a little bit last week, Paul, about, how important it is to be playing your best football right now. And, I don't think you can argue. It's hard to argue that Salamanca is playing their best football right now. They've won 5 straight, including what we probably would consider an upset against an undefeated Medina team that was firing all cylinders. So I think it's, confidence level. Obviously, LeRoy with no losses this year is going to be through the roof. And then Salamanca coming off their biggest win of the year, they're going to be confident. And I think it, not to sound elementary, but it's going to come down to who doesn't make mistakes. And I think that was very clear last night. It was just the 2 games were very lopsided because of the one team making so many mistakes, especially in the second game. Clarence with 7 turnovers. It's just, it's a lot of nerves. You mentioned that. It's a lot of nerves. But we said there in halftime, yesterday, Francis, that these 2 teams were way too good for how many mistakes they were making, And I think you hit the nail on the head, Paul, is you can't get out of character. You've got this far for a reason. You've got to stay with what got you there. And sometimes you just unravel a little bit when nerves get you, And you would think, especially for the teams around here, you'd be much more nervous. At least I would be playing at the stadium last week, right? This is a little more atmosphere that you're used to, even though it's technically a bigger game. But, you were playing where the Bills play. That's,
You're in a bigger field, and technically it's not bigger, but it feels so much bigger.
Absolutely. I mean, it just looks huge, right? But, they're 2 games away from fulfilling their dreams, and that comes into play. I can't imagine the bus ride here. It's probably here a pin drop, right? I mean, and just, the coaches want you focused. But, I was trying to think, what do you do like game day? What is Bennett doing right now, in health science? And what time did Salamanca get up this morning and start thinking about this game? They've been thinking about it since last week. You know what I mean?
I always say, to pull out my little Shakespearean quote from my good friend Bill, or William Shakespeare.
Billy.
To thine own self be true. So the point on the bus, that's really a good one. Sometimes I'd like to watch the warm-ups of teams to see how they're looking. Are they what I perceive to be loose. Are they
Yeah.
Are they talking to each other? Are they having some fun? We don't really know, and we don't know what the coaches demand either. But
Sure.
if I were the coaches, I'd let the boys be boys.
Yeah, almost stay out of their way a little bit, right?
Let them do what they do,
Yeah.
and then because all my prep work has now been set and laid throughout the week.
Now you just got to do it.
That's the way I feel. You just have to do it.
Yeah.
And be true to yourself. I think you brought up a really good point. Last night in the second game,
Yep.
Clarence 7 turnovers. I mean, you can't win when you have 7 turnovers. So they weren't true to themselves yesterday. So today, Salamanca, I was thinking about them a lot yesterday. How most people thought last week was an upset.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it was an upset except for Salamanca.
Sure. Of course.
They were confident. They came in and they were true to themselves. And they did the little things, the technical things that you have to do.
And
to
fought
win.
through adversity because it was a back and forth game. It's not like they dominated the whole
Nope.
game. Medina was up and it was back and forth. The one thing I would do, Paul, maybe more so with Salamanca because they seem to throw it more, at least so far than LeRoy, is I mentioned this last week also. I would always want to get my quarterback's confidence up real early, okay? Because I would think the quarterback is probably the most nervous, just from my own standpoint,
Sure.
okay? I would get him some quick slants, some quick out passes. You got to get his confidence going, okay? Because you don't want his first pass to be 3rd and 11, or 3rd and long. You want his confidence to be up, and he needs to have a flow to him, especially if you're going to throw the ball. Like, they threw the ball quite a bit last week. They had 317 yards against Medina in the air.
On the Salamanca side.
On the Salamanca side,
Yes.
exactly. So, and they run a dual quarterback system. The one quarterback, he has had some trouble turning the ball over. So you want to be careful with that. He has 8 interceptions, including one last week against Medina. So you got to be smart with that and get your quarterback some confidence because they're going to control the game either way.
We're speaking of their quarterbacks, Jackson Ross, Maddox Isaacs, and they have been splitting time pretty close to 50-50, and there's we kind of half joked. We thought maybe one got hurt and another came in, but they've been splitting the time pretty evenly, and it's not like a situation where you have a RPO kind of guy. But
they both throw.
They both throw, but they both have at a wide receiver position is Lucas Brown, who is known more for his skills on the basketball court, but he's been really bringing it this year. 20 catches, 500 yards, 10 touchdowns, including that unbelievable one-handed grab
great catch
in the end zone, which went a little bit viral on our social media. But how big is it to have a kid like that who is so good on the hardwood to be able to bring it here on the gridiron?
I'm a little biased, but I tend to think that really good basketball players somewhat make the best athletes. You might not agree with me, but it does seem like a lot of times the really good basketball players do make really good receivers or tight ends, and you actually see it in the NFL now too.
No doubt he's got about 25 yards a catch.
Yeah.
He's a great
He goes up
receiver.
and gets it, right?
He can get up. He can get up high. He's tall.
And he catches with his hands. He doesn't wait for the ball to come to him, which is that could be your quarterback's, that's your safety net, know. And you mentioned the double quarterbacks. It's a really unique situation. The Jackson Ross, who is, quote unquote the starter, has 68 attempts passing, where Isaac has 77 attempts. So it's really a unique, I generally don't love the Tom Brady and Maddox, who was at Michigan. Remember that was the dual quarterback for a while.
Well, that's before my time.
Yeah, not Maddox, but it was.
I'm talking. He played for the Cowboys.
He played for the Yankees first.
Right. Yeah.
And then he went to football.
That was the last time I remember a dual quarterback actually working.
Hansen,
but besides what you said, the Wildcat type, Lancaster did it with success this year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's just a really unique situation because when you see two quarterbacks that play, usually it's 85% on the attempts for one person to 15 for the other one, and this is basically 50-50.
Looking at LeRoy right now, we want to talk about Tony Piazza. Leads the team with 1,200 yards, 19 touchdowns. He also has 48 tackles. He was their leading guy up until last week when he got injured a little bit, and their backup, and I believe it was Drew Stolo, was the MVP of that game that they won last week when they won the Section 5 championship. So That's going to be another threat for Salamanca's defense to deal with if Piazza is back to full strength and you have Strollo with some confidence.
Yeah, they have 3 senior leaders on the offensive side. Okay, Piazza, the quarterback, is Conandario, and then Strollo, the other running back. So it's kind of a dual threat, in the backfield. But your seniors, you're undefeated this year. They've probably been playing with each other for several years now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want this to end.
No,
They don't want this to end.
They know each other quite well, right?
Absolutely.
So that familiarity can really, really help out a team. I was just thinking, reading again early this morning, 275 yards almost on the ground.
Yeah.
That's time of possession. That's ball control.
And finishing with points.
And they finish with
point
points.
Earlier.
So they hold it, and you don't get it as often as you might against a lesser opponent. So
every possession is pretty much crucial.
For Salamanca, every possession's crucial, and somehow they need to stop a ground game that is just, back in our day, because Francis, you wouldn't know this term either, ground chuck. Chuck Knox, the old, it was an L.A. coach, L.A. Rams coach, and then the Bills coach, of course. He liked to run the ball. Those teams ran the ball fabulously. This is what LeRoy looks to me to do. They want to ground it out. They want to limit your possession and time of possession.
I think one advantage Salamanca does have is that they're considered the home team, and I was told yesterday, or actually I think Thursday, they're bringing up 3 spectator buses from Salamanca for people to watch this game. That's on top of the team bus and probably the cheerleaders as well.
That's what you want to see. That's fantastic.
I was just in the parking lot, and they're out there, and the Salamanca people are
screaming.
Excited already.
Screaming, yeah. That's awesome. That's what you want at this. You want the whole town's going to come out for the game. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you play for. That's what it's all about. That's why you went to these, 4-hour-long practices in August, sweating your butt off to get a chance to do this. And I think sometimes, we take for granted how special it is to be able to play in these games, and
definitely,
win or lose, it's just you're making memories for the rest of your life.
Yep. And one thing about LeRoy, they haven't been in this game in recent history, but 13 Far West regional games. There's a history that they carry, a little something in their hearts that they know that previous boys that had been at that school have come to this game
and want to bring it back.
And they want to help those people relive those memories. And as you said, these are memories both teams will have for the rest of their lives. So, we're hoping they just go out and have a whale of a time, a great time. And I don't know, maybe it'll come down to the last play of the game.
Well, that's what we're hoping for,
right?
Yeah, again, as Tim mentioned earlier, we had 2 games last night, Class D. CSP took care of business. I think it was 50-16. And then in their Class A game, it was East World of Inquiry getting the better of Clarence 42-7. So winner of this one will take the lead in terms of the sections, and then we have 2 more after that. But for Paul Catrona, Tim Chifa, that'll do it for our pregame show. Kickoff is coming up next on the NFHS Network. Tune into that, and then join us back here at halftime on WNY Athletics.
What does it mean when people say America is a land of opportunity?
It means the power to discover,
to redefine yourself,
to improve yourself,
to challenge yourself,
to realize there's more in you
than you ever knew
that you could do.
It means giving people an open field to explore what they do best.
With the best tools,
the best training,
the best technology in the world.
We bring out the best in the people who serve.
So you can be all you can be.
Logistics Plus is a global transportation provider headquartered in Erie, PA, with locations worldwide, including right here in Western New York. Logistics Plus is consistently recognized as a fast-growing transportation and logistics company, great supply chain partner, top freight broker, leading project cargo manager, and a great place to work. With a strong passion for excellence, our 500-plus employees put the plus in logistics.
Or an efficient, personal approach for all of your transportation needs. More information about our Buffalo office is available at logisticsplus.com/Buffalo.